我南无满洲师耶，南无说师耶，南无我南无师耶，我南无满洲师耶，南无说师耶，南无我南无师耶，说好。给当作给中拿来，将诸巴度当地给苏西，那给去年给别说那给，罗拉边界上给鲁巴说上去，给当作给中拿来，将诸巴度当地给苏西，那给去年给别说那给，罗拉边界上给鲁巴说。给当作给中拿来，将诸巴度当地给苏西，那给去年给别说那给，罗拉边界上给鲁巴说。先别给主心没多长，人让灵性你得见把的，上给心多没得话意，若给难大先把去吧，说一当不如让他们打拉上的呀大呀米。
而我们同学今年甚至提到，就到底前途有嘛那些个人进步，加到嘛些把计较呢，嘛些把它当成加把。政治人物的台湾的叫朗头部落，这个东西把是我们的第一个地基叫什么？政治人物的地基，必须说把它变成这么的，变把经济，变把大地上，这个现在把他们来形成的想法的意思。
All sentient beings have been our mothers, and all sentient beings have been our mothers for numberless times, not just once. They are as kind as our mothers of this life. Even though all kind mother sentient beings want happiness and do not want even a small suffering, however, due to engaging wrongly with regard to objects of abandonment and objects of adoptions, they experience suffering results only. In our minds, sincerely generate loving kindness towards all kind mother sentient beings, thinking, how nice if all kind mother sentient beings had excellent happiness. May all kind mother sentient beings have excellent happiness. I will cause all kind mother sentient beings to have excellent happiness. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so. Next, we generate compassion towards all suffering mother sentient beings, thinking, how nice if the body of all suffering mother sentient beings were free from class discordant with accomplishing virtue. May the body of all suffering mother sentient beings be free from class discordant with accomplishing virtue. I will cause the body of all suffering mother sentient beings to be free from class discordant with accomplishing virtue. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so. Next, we generate compassion towards all suffering mother sentient beings, thinking, how nice if the minds of all suffering mother sentient beings were free from class discordant with accomplishing virtue, such as fear, anxiety, coarse and subtle conceptual thoughts. May the minds of all suffering mother sentient beings be free from class discordant with accomplishing virtue. I will cause the minds of all suffering mother sentient beings to be free from class discordant with accomplishing virtue. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so. Next, we generate compassion towards all suffering mother sentient beings, thinking, how nice if the speech of all suffering mother sentient beings were free from class discordant with accomplishing virtue. There is negative speeches, such as telling lies, harsh words, etc. May the speech of all suffering mother sentient beings be free from class discordant with accomplishing virtue. I will cause the speech of all suffering mother sentient beings to be free from class discordant with accomplishing virtue. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so. Next, we generate compassion towards all suffering sentient beings, thinking, how nice if the three doors of all suffering mother sentient beings were free from class discordant with accomplishing virtue. May the three doors of all suffering mother sentient beings be free from class discordant with accomplishing virtue. I will cause the three doors of all suffering mother sentient beings be free from class discordant with accomplishing virtue. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so. Next, we think, how nice if all suffering mother sentient beings were free from suffering and its cause. May all suffering mother sentient beings be free from all suffering and its cause. I will cause all mother sentient beings to be free from sufferings and its cause. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so. Next, we generate bodhicitta, first by asking ourselves, who should take on the responsibility to free all mother sentient beings from the sufferings of samsara and of lower realms? I should take on the responsibility to free all mother sentient beings from the sufferings of samsara and of lower realms. However, I do not have the abilities to do so now. Who have the abilities? Only those who have achieved the perfect, complete enlightenment have the abilities to do so. Therefore, for the sake of all mother sentient beings, by all means, I will become Buddha. Next, we generate all-encompassing yoga mind, the aspiring conventional bodhicitta that thinks, for the sake of all mother sentient beings, I will become Buddha. This transform into a perfect mundis at one's heart. And the ultimate bodhicitta, that is one's mind becoming in one taste with emptiness. There is all phenomena are lacking of inherent existence. That transform into a white five-pronged vajra on top of the mundis.
30 is the Pumba Rangi to be cheated, had a counter your mother Rangi to be Tonga that chooses conscience.
Next, we meditate on emptiness, that I exist neither intrinsically one with nor intrinsically different from the aggregates. Thus, I do not exist intrinsically.
That day is another Tabari Shiga, Gijo condition of Passion to Nani to Bachi, Kitchen was so in that song, Nesa goes a chibi because Nesa goes a chibi, goes to the gates of condition by na, Hepa Sinji Chido, in Saturday Tonsi, which Chitoina, the Jimmy Nancy, Jimbas and also Tonsi, Kitchen Tonsi.
Next is very important to conjoin our virtuous practices with the practice of 6 perfections. So the first one is the practice of generosity, and generosity is mainly about the mind of giving. So during these 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on Dharma, whatever roots of virtue that I accumulate through my 3 doors, I give it to all sentient beings.
That day is a conda, Nesa was a chip because Lima can change about some way to some Majua, taking the point, Kitchenbody, the leading as a tradition of the own symbols in the world, Carpos and Liga with Nijing about support. So, since that time, Nesa was a chip because it did Nijing about the Majua, the Nijipon to buy that, so that passion and this.
Next is the practice of morality. And morality is the minds of abandoning. What do you abandon? You abandon physical and verbal negativities. So during these 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on Dharma, I will properly abandon my physical and verbal negativities so that they do not manifest.
That day is also Sebi Yanji seem to watch Seba Seva and to be Semba, Montoy Semba's non Jigoro. Then that day, that was in the song was a chip because Listen like Kang Katichumina, get on the lane, so to much. What Lishumina, that's the knowledge in the voice.
Next is the practice of patience, and patience is an undisturbed mind. So during these 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on Dharma, whatever physical or mental hardships that occur, I will willingly accept it. I will embrace it.
That's really passionate, simple stages. That's interesting. The church and the all of those Semba say, tradition of the that kind of getting Nesa was Chisini and Nesa was the Chebal, the Hajan, Gawata, do it on the thick Gawa door, the Sinji tension should means at the league saying about door. That's interesting.
Next is the practice of joyous effort. And joyous effort is mind enthusiastic for virtue, or in other words, is mind that takes delight in virtue. So during these 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on Dharma, I will take delight in accomplishing virtue and working for the welfare of sentient beings.
That day is also Sunday in knowledge is much good. That Sunday saw the same you know Corutilla, Siki the name but Sundays were Sundays tension. That was in that topic, Nesa was a chip because of the city, the game but la pa, near too much. Non to the 9 or the moon of Pakat. Let's need to be joined this Sunday passion on this.
Next is the practice of meditative concentration. And meditative concentration is mind single-pointedly abiding on any of the virtuous object. So during these 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on Dharma, I will single-pointedly focus my mind on the virtuous object and do not get distracted by any other matters, such as coarse and subtle conceptual thoughts.
Stop being able to cheer up number of law. Nesa was a JP because Nesa was a Jebala, but Pierre Sanji Machava Yabasheba, Taba the Tanjin Kumbataya, Pierre Lap Chimuchi Yabasheba. They must say, 땡아서 내상고서 집에 가서 시간에서 가르이나 주시 가르이나 된래 치다 된래바 신도 같이 좀 봐이나 대시로지 나네지 쓰는 거래서.
Next is the practice of wisdom, and wisdom is an awareness that thoroughly distinguishes the phenomena. So during these 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on Dharma, I will properly understand the words of the lessons, the meanings of the teachings, and I will also properly understand the benefits of studying and practicing Dharma.
더 대지에서 먼저 신신제 탄지지의 산지지 공부하다가 대지도 더 장조라지를 지키는 년에 책임도 지는 뜻생겨는 펜바두고 사도스 불러냐고 지셔스.
Next is set good motivation. So for the sake of all mother sentient beings, I will become Buddha. In order to achieve this purpose, I'm going to receive the commentary on the holy teachings, stages of the path to enlightenment, and practice accordingly in order to benefit sentient beings.
Thank you. 더 특지치 시원이 당와서 다리 주바 건가도 가서 기지시도 가서 양이 지야랬다 뒤선배 취시적인 앞에 신기 개발체로 뭐뭐 쉬지요로 개발체로 뭐뭐 저한테 가봐이는 가서 참아 가봐이는 때 니네 예사로 가져도 다 기지시도 가서 라리 다야들 말이야 다 라리 다야들 다시 공도 마시바나시 참바데 ninje 고야 림바진도 그 장주 세라서 림바진도 뜻에서 다시 줄라마 성당에다 따빠리시니 디마 휴거를 예 휴거를 전체데 양자 공리 치고 공리 인지 문제 들라 공리야 뭐 태바이나 때들라로 땡고 제트야기 누가 이거를 공리 매비 가서 죄데 공리 매비 지어는 가서 냐니 지마 돼야데 공리 매비 진 장자 이거 냐니 지에데 신바이나 들라 공리 치는 마테 공리 마테 마이나 예 냐니 제트고요 말 that they can be able to achieve need to stop to so much schedule.
So yeah, I would like to first of all, I would like to say thanks to all of you. So even though there are many Dharma teachers, there are many teachers who give Dharma teachings in the internet, so you can go many places to receive the teachings, and there are many teachings available on the internet as well. So however, as compared to listening to the teachings, understanding the teachings, the more important one is to practice the teachings. So as what I said at the beginning of the sessions, like for example, cultivating loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta, and meditating on emptiness, those are very important to practice. So the reason why I mention it again and again at the beginning of every class is to cause us to habituate with such practice. If we habituate ourselves with such practices, then it will stay firmly in our mind. Even though we know the practices, we know what to practice, but we are unable to practice. The reason why we are unable to practice or engage in those practices, the reason is because we do not habituate ourselves with such practices.
사 님바네 사 집어봐 창자라 다 돈이나 무슨 또 받출라 취셔봐 넘바 샤라 쳬바 지요 다 간다 서마 집반 넘바 샤네 출라 취셔봐 나시 샤두고요 샤두고요 때사 님바네 소산에 때들라 공리 장자대야 다 간다 공리 진로디야 니바 쳬서 다 니바 쳬서네 때예 간다 집버서야 니모 가대 무슨 집버 바로 진이 도시야 와야요 니모 가대 쳬서 때 드리진에 로도 니바 쳬야 소네 대간다 산지지 공발이야 또 선도야래 마도 돈반지 되면서도 딱 담보니 또사 사 니바 소바 시바 쭈바 두 참하게 사 담보 또 바나시 찌바마도 대바 또야 개요 말. 어때 공리지 않다 간다 공리지 않다. 사 니바니야 소니.
So, give you an example to achieve the state of enlightenment. So, from the first ground, so from on the first ground, we develop we develop wisdom, directly realize the meanings of emptiness, and we are able to stay in the meditative equipoise. We are able to stay in the equipoise, meditating on emptiness. We are able to directly realize it. So, and at that stage, our mind our mind and the meaning of emptiness become indivisible, just like the water, just like putting water and the milk together. So you are unable to divide it or unable to separate it. So our mind, together with the meaning of emptiness, are indivisible in that state. So on the first ground, we already developed wisdom, directly realizing the meaning of emptiness. And from second ground onward, what we should do is to habituate ourselves with such realizations. So there's no difference in terms of the wisdom realizing meaning of emptiness, so that one's mind become indivisible with the meaning of emptiness. There's no difference in terms of this. But what we should do is to habituate ourselves again and again with such meaning of emptiness, in order to cause the strength of our mind to become greater and greater. And as we develop greater strength of our mind, then we are able to gradually eliminate the obscurations. So by eliminating obscurations gradually, we will be able to achieve the state of enlightenment. Yeah, so as I always mention, that it's very important to conjoin our virtuous practices with the six perfections. So, and these six perfections is the practice of is the bodhisattva practices, is the bodhisattva deeds. That is the main practice for a bodhisattva. So, for example, when we do our prayers, we do our daily prayers, right? So we have to check whether we do our daily prayers conjoining with the six perfections or not, whether the six perfections are present or complete in our prayer recitations or not. It's something that we have to check ourselves. So if we realize that the six perfections are not present or complete in our practice, then we have to adjust and we have to improve and we have to adjust so that our daily recitations is conjoined with six perfections. For example, the first day when you recite prayers, then at the beginning you're supposed to set motivations, then whatever, for example, whatever roots of virtue that I accumulate through my 3 doors, I give it to other sentient beings. Then that is the mind of giving, right? And that is the generosity. And at the end, then we're supposed to do dedications. So if you do that at the beginning, and you set the motivations at the beginning, and you also do dedications at the end, then yes, your practice is conjoined with generosity. So, however, if after you recite your prayers, finish reciting your prayers, and you realize that your recitation is not conjoined with generosity, then you have to realize it, and then you have to improve it next time.
This man do some much had the person Yanis here, this Kalindua. That's something content Sabicala candidate in the Antilla, sympathy need to do data need to do as a Jabachina. That candidate in the some of the Chusho money by Shenda Mambu, Kilro Devina. That's something person choose the something person Yanish Simbahina. Yeah, Manchi had some of the shoot, not to the Naya or the Pandoja. That candidate them say, Villa, that's something person Yane, we double just sing to do.
Yeah, similarly, when we recite prayers, I think the most difficult perfections to practice, is the perfections of meditative concentration, which is we get distracted always when we recite prayers, especially when we recite prayers. So it's something that we have to check ourselves, whether our mind our mind is placed on the daily recitations or not, or whether our mind abides on the daily the prayers recitations or not. So if our mind do not stay or abide on the prayers, and don't mention about turning our mind towards the Dharma. So, and if we get distracted all the times when we recite prayers, and there are so many conceptual thoughts arise during at the time when we recite prayers, then it's something that we have to improve ourselves. So it's something that we have to check and realize and improve.
Oh, this Chinaro is that was a passion to be honest, like kitchen was surely chower. That was a candy to do by a passion to be knowledge, simply but to come to that's also how Koshi Nomish that one among the churches, churches, Kosatina, Lama Chichu Yomar, Chuta Chichu Yomar, condition a detail Nami Shorta. This shortana was a church, the church to say, Kadam Lama Pisha, church to say. Jumbo the new data so to rest it. Jumbo the new data so to Jumbo new to say,
Jumbo
that the data so Jumbo the go under which you pay, Kapush in a row, that the Makushuba in a quote. I was
Jumbo said,
or Renship, Level Sodua. Oh, Jumbo knew to the church to say that church could that church in it, the Geda Chimbo, Lama Chimbo, Cheta Chimbo, Kandina, that conducted to Marisa. Teaching to this, that DJ Shamba church, the super Lujimombo, the DJ Sinji, Sene, the Zama conduct church in the park, the Tuyak. Or that is not to teach you church Marquez, who can have or the little. So the Abushi Dutchna Jumbo Nugu, Chitty Children, the Jumbo Nugu, Chitty Children, Digi Chichitus, Deeper Digi Chichitus, what is it? That is a big Kashi.
Yeah, so this is what I encourage and urge all of us to do. So to conjoin whatever virtuous practice with the 6 perfections. So, and we should practice it. We should understand the importance of it and understand the necessities to do so. Understand the that we need to do so, and we shouldn't just ignore it, and we shouldn't just neglect it. Such practices to conjoin our virtuous practices with 6 perfections, and we shouldn't just neglect it, because otherwise then we will be like there is one sayings. So those who become stubborn, one, like it cannot be tamed. So those become stubborn one, then cannot be tamed, means that I'll say when they get used to Dharma and when they get used to Lamas already, and yet they remain unchanged. I'll say they become insensitive already. Yeah, become dull already. So whoever great Lama comes, whoever Lama, whoever comes or whatever teachers come, and then they will just disregard it, whether it is a precious teacher or not, they disregard it, and whether the Dharma, and then they also disregard it. So sometimes when we get used to Lamas, get used to teachers, then we become dull, we become insensitive. So this is if we become like that, then this cannot be tamed by the Dharma teachings. Yeah. Yeah. So we become insensitive, we become dull, and then we become naughty already. So such if we became such a person, then it cannot be tamed by the Dharma. And no matter how rough, no matter how hard animal skin is, then it can be made soft by the oil. And then the next line it says, no matter how sinful a person, and like for example, who kill another sentient beings, it can be tamed by Dharma. It can be tamed by Dharma.
That's the Ganda Sama was two like shadow jirwa, and the Kandi Gido Kandijina, Pacific Yana Kazi, single some of the Tachi Richia. Yeah, some seem to Munana, that jelly and Jaji and the Jondi. This was to be Sazuchi.
Yeah, so this please keep this in your mind. So practice virtue with 6 perfections. So we have to check ourselves whether our virtuous practice is conjoined with 6 perfections or not.
Normally, this control sudden this Japan oh, Dindici, Samanda, this Malari Malojo Chit, and the Lojo Nani the Retina, Nani Chadamato, Selamati, Sijatuach. Say the Paconditia, the Gish out of the Pacondi Canti, so what so Gish or the Pac, Red Condi, that said that the Condi thing would do. Oh, the kitchen would
Yeah, so we are studying Lamrim teachings, right? So we have to make our Lamrim studies have rejoice, something worth a rejoice. So at the end of this subject, for example, Lamrim teachings, then we should make these studies worth rejoicing. If not, after finish this subject and then we remain the same, if not our angers are getting worse and our behavior is getting worse, then then that is something that is something very discouraging, right? And something something very discouraging. So whatever we learn in the teachings, then we have to apply ourselves, or in particular our mind, to those virtuous practices. So, and it's very important to habituate ourselves and our mind to the virtuous side. So last week we already covered 4 non-virtuous practices or 4 lack dharmas. Then I will summarize these 4 non-virtuous practices into few words so that it's easier for us to understand and keep in our mind. Similarly, I will do so to the 4 virtuous practices or 4 white dharmas that we are going to learn.
다 담보 나치 담보 들어와 나치 담보 다까지 시대 나치 담보 준지 라마다 켈로서 오고 왔어 두두지와 준지 라마다 켈로서 오고 왔어 어디 나치 담보 두두지 모두 와 나 이페셔 들어와 준지 라마다 켈로서 오고 와 어디 저는 좀 심지게 들어와
Yeah. So you can also do some notes. You can also write this down on your notebook or write this on your book as well. So the first non-virtuous practice is deceiving one's abbot. The first non-virtuous practice is deceiving one's abbot, master, guru with lies.
다 나치님바데 예게와 셰발라 제바제바스 나치님바데 예게와 셰게와 셰발라 제바제바.
Yeah, and the second non-virtuous practice is to cause others to regret virtues.
다 나치숨바데 샹세라 셰당 꾸니한테 문예바제바스. 샹세라 셰당기 꾸니한테 문예바제바. 문예바제바 다 간다 치문예. 문예바제바. 디디디 소리와. 샹세라 셰당 꾸니한테 문예바제바스.
Yeah. And third non-virtuous practice is speaking unpleasant words to speaking unpleasant words to bodhisattvas out of hatred. Yeah. So I summarize it and it contains the meanings in it. So out of hatred, speaking unpleasantly to bodhisattvas. And the fourth non-virtuous practice is deceit. Yeah. Out of deceit. Yeah. Deceit and dissimulate. Yeah, so the last one is to do deceit and dissimulations without extraordinary attitude to sentient beings. Yeah, to do deceit and dissimulation without extraordinary attitude to sentient beings.
나비 최시대 카드 창스 취사레데 대가로 레시 사마 대가로 레시 사마 대가로 가지 취사와 다 까비 최시대 마치네 담보 까비 최시대 만데 취사와 그 고대로와.
Yeah. So this is the summary of 4 non-virtuous practice. So I say the meaning of these 4 non-virtuous practices, and you can read is on the book, and we have already covered as well. So the next one is 4 virtuous practices of 4 white dharmas. And then before I explain it, first we identify it. Yeah, so I also, similarly, I also summarize it into fewer words so that we can easily remember it in our mind. So the first virtuous practice is abandon telling lies knowingly.
Senjila yoju maybe samba tambo neva. Senjila yoju maybe samba tambo neva. Senjila yoju maybe samba tambo neva.
And the second virtuous practice is being honest without deceit and dissimulations towards sentient being. So being honest without deceit and dissimulation towards sentient being.
Senjila yoju samba tambo neva. Da kachi sumba de. Shanse nala tembi di hi jeji. Shanse nala tembi di hi jeji dene jingaba jeba. Shanse nala tembi di hi jeji dene jingaba jeba. Masu bechana dene jingaba shojila jeba yerwa. Ta ngaba jeba sina dene de ta lo chura de la. Dene jingaba jeba. Shanse nala tembi di hi jeji dene jingaba jeba.
And the third virtuous practice is having generated the perceptions, having perceived bodhisattvas as the teacher. Yeah, having perceived bodhisattvas as the teacher, proclaim truthful praises.
Takachi shiba derwa. Takachi shiba de rangi mimba shayi senje na ase rangi mimba shayi senje na la zojan zidun juba. Rangi mimba shayi senje na la zojan zidun juba. Takachi shiba
zojan
zidun juba. Zojan zidun juba ta zojan soya biche.
Rangi mimbe senje na.
Oh rangi mimba shayi senje na la ase.
Mimba chawi.
Rangi mimba shayi senje na la zojan zidun juba ase.
And the fourth virtuous practice is until the complete enlightenment. Yeah, to cause sentient beings that sentient beings to be ripened by me. Yeah, to cause sentient beings to be ripened by me to enter complete enlightenment. Yeah, causing sentient beings to be ripened by me or to be matured by me to enter complete enlightenment.
That was not Chishida, Kachishida, the Nimbo, Jelma Chidi Hako, that day, Tambu to the what that Lama, that Shay Yoda, Yoda, Shawa, the Sud Pechanama, that Tewa. That is Mambo Jolani, Changa, the Sungason to Marwa. That Changa, the Tambu did you use to Tuina, from words on the Western by the China and also some
Yeah, before I say the next later I'm going to explain these four white practices being the antidote to the five black practices or four non-virtuous practice. So four white practices being the antidote to the four non-virtuous practice. So I'm going to explain it later. So before I explain it, because when I explain it, then we will cover the object, and then we will cover the actions, etc. So if I were to, list these four white practices with those informations, then it will be more difficult for us to keep in our mind because it will, it contains more words and more information, right? Yeah. So then training, the outline is training and adopting the four virtuous practices that do not allow it to degenerate.
소가 타는 이게 지시야 시긴도 지마와 공화스 대지 보도 주인바 샤와는 될라 소가 배 타는 이게 지시야 지 배제모지는 배지 뭐디 공화스 오 디다 나 샤와디 데려와
지마와 공화에
오 지마와 공화 대지 보도 주사로 와오 이윤의 신지 이노죠 창상 될 샤와는 될라 소가 배는 타는 제모지 지지 배지마와 공화 에딜로 왔다 가더라
So the object of the first virtuous practice is all sentient beings, and the actions is to eliminate knowingly lying to them, even for the sake of one's life, or even for as little as a joke. So the actions, what we should do, the first virtuous practice is to eliminate knowingly telling lies to other beings, even for the sake of your life, or even for the sake of just a joke.
That she can do more. That did that. Got you to pay. She can do that. I putting a she can do more point. The Harmat that did that Chebaina, Zima, the Pumaina. The Rangin Kelo Sola, you chepatilla, Zijin go for the Marirang, Kimbo Lamazilla, Jin Mariese, that Jim Shivati, that Nachi Tambuti in Nimbo Yesu, Nachi Tambutilla, and Kilos of Uko Tondimba, Ukwati, Ukwat. That is the Rangi Shiki to pay Jin Kanda, Puadi, or the Jin the Puina, Kana, Demo that Yigi Chia Jin the Puadi, they back Kilo the Lobes, a lot of Jin Umarati. The name of Tata no dog for Nachi Tambuti name of that. Nachi Tambut Kanda Kiloda Kanda Kilos Ukwaderwa, Lama Kimoda, Ukwadra, Zinjirwa, Zinji Lama the Kilos Ukwas, Dirwa, Nachi Tambut. Wodi. That Zinji Lama the Kilos Ukodi, that and that the name of Tata Rugudwa. Tana Soga Yishia, shaking the Zima.
So if we abandon telling lies knowingly, even for the sake of one's life, or even for the sake of just a joke, then we will not lie to master, abbot, and guru, and these will serve as the antidote to the first non-virtuous practice. So as when I summarized the first virtuous practice, I summarize it into abandoning telling lies, knowingly, right? So these will serve as the antidote to the first non-virtuous practice, which is deceiving Lama, master, abbot with lies.
That the Nachi Tambu, Natsukachi Tambu, the Nachi Tambu, the name of Yiba. That name of Dota Tata, who Katijas as one, or the Shimbachi, that Niba, that Kachini used to it. That Kachini that you go to Sharwa, Kachini but the Karishirna, Kachini but there were Singila, Yujumi, Samba Tambo neighbors, the Yitishua, Kachini but.
So, you can also see the first virtuous practice being the direct antidote to the first non-virtuous practice, right? So then the second virtuous practice is, and what I summarize just now is, being honest without deceit and dissimulation towards sentient being, right?
That the Kachi Tambu, the you Kachini, but you, that's Sinji Tanji, yes, Sinji Tanji. Shawana, Ella, Yujim, but Habi Sambi Nibati, Samba Tambu Nibati. That in this Samba Tambu Nibati, the Nishiman. Nachi Shiba Nimbo. I did not know my Shiba.
So the object of the second virtuous practice is all sentient beings, and the action is to abide with the extraordinary attitude toward them without deceit or shiftiness or dissimulation. That is to abide with an honest attitude.
Yujumi Barwa, that and the Shawana, Yujumi, Habiston, Hasananda Gutoni, that and that did that Singila Pembaji Duala, Singila Probachiala, Hasananda Gutoni Kanda, Robachiba, who Pegli Sola Pe, Hasananda Gutoni, Kanda painted to Matre, Robachibat, Hasananda Gutoni painted to Robachibat. That Tambo, a Kachini Badirwa. Kachiniba, Singila Kanda, usually the Samba Tamboni Basna, Singila, so Pendo Kariji, Pemba Kariji Duyana, or Semba thing Hasananda, Yujumema, Yujuma Hasananda Gutoni, Robachiba. Did the name of the Shiva?
So the actions is as it abide with the extraordinary attitude without deceit and dissimulation towards sentient beings, right? So what it means is, in order to, when you help other sentient beings, you help them with extraordinary attitudes. You help them with pure motivations, with this honest attitude, with this extraordinary attitude, without deceit and dissimulation.
다데 나치 시버디기 님보도 그래 쉬이와 다 나치 시버드 가르스나 하사 마이비 신지라 요지 셰바세드레 나치 시버디 하사 마이비 신지라 요지 셰바 와
하사 마이비
와 하사 마이비 신지라 요지 셰바디 와 하사 마이비 신지라 요지 셰바스 나치 시버드레 아무 땡에서 다시 슈자와
and this virtuous practice serves as an antidote to the fourth non-virtuous practice. So what is the fourth non-virtuous practice? And it is, do deceit. Yeah, do deceit and doing deceit and dissimulation without extraordinary attitude towards sentient beings. So this virtuous practice will serve as a direct antidote to the fourth non-virtuous practice, which is doing deceit and dissimulation without extraordinary attitude towards sentient being.
같이 시버드 디기 님보 다다 누구로와 예 같이 시버드 신질의 펜데 컨트리 두구나 이네 셈바트니 하산난다부터네 예 차다 푸기 대와 간리 펜도 제거해나 이 가다 해메바 셈발을 해메바 하산난다부터네 아까나 펜데 두바다 같이 시버드 봐 다 나치 시바데 하사 많이 비신지라 요지 셰바스네 디게 페이지마 시바이나와 좋아 페이지 시바이나 다 만소 미카시게 있다 소소를 줘보 해야지다 다 줘보 이 담보 줘보 이 대슈굴을 줘보 때에 줘보데 소야다 줘보데 에 디제 가다 가서 중계를 해야지 된디기 상로토니 대배 사하레 셴다 가바이나페 니처럼 버디 동이스 베실라 장이스 노도시네페 하상토네페 그러나 지금 노도지 너희네서 사하나를 구조지는 도나 도보 중앙 도보게 벤조레 뭐지 간이나 그래서 중앙에 상호단 카투페 베 요지치는 게 하상 연도도지 베 니처럼 베 리실라 버디 동이스 사제치는 친구 사제티를 레 차바나 대 하상 해요. 하상 연예림 다 요지 차사로와 당분 하상 연도도 지고요와 하상다 비하고 연도도 지. 이제는 듣고 정말 보지나 다 하상 많이 비교주었으니 하상 많이 비교주서 당분 하상 연도도 지니 공고고 다야 들어와. 우리들이 다 먼저 같이다. 이바디 때 하상 난다부터는 비교가 들어와. 우리들 나치 시바를 들에 가는 미지 그거 하상 많이 비생질라 요지 셔봐지.
Yeah, so you can see this second virtuous practice becomes the direct antidote to the fourth non-virtuous practice, right? So basically, it talks about you help others with a sincere attitude. You help others with a sincere attitude. And you bring temporary and ultimate benefits to others. So to give you an example is like at first then for example you have one friend, so and right in front of your friend, then you pretend that you wanted to help him with sincere attitude. So then later then you bring him to a restaurant and then say, the meal is on me, or even you throw a party for your friend. So, but your actual intentions is to get the money, to get possessions, to get things or get wealth from this person. So your intention is not pure. Your intentions or your attitude is not pure already, right? Because you say that, I want to throw you a party, and then I want to bring you food, and then, but your actual agenda, the agenda in your heart is to get money from this person to get well or possessions from these persons. So your intentions or your attitude is not sincere already. So this second virtuous practice is do not engage in deceit or dissimulations toward other sentient beings without extraordinary attitudes. So these will serve as a direct antidote to the fourth non-virtuous practice.
Papa says that the Chino Baina, Papa Euro Machi de Kala, Tihi, Shambo Chindo Chile, or Kalatini says that Chile. The Kanda, Hassan, Nanda Marwako, Hassan Yoji Chemarwa, Hassan Yondo Chile, go Shambo Chili Chile, then you been as a co, say at go Yoji Chile, or Denash Chago, Takanda, Hassan Maibi Yoji Chewasin.
Yes, to give you situations that we can more easily to relate to. So, for example, a pig. So, we feed pig, right? And then in front of the pig, and then we also kind of showing a loving attitude toward the pig, and then you feed the pig, and then by giving so the intentions in your heart is to kill the pig when this pig gets fed, right? Or when it gets bigger or when it gets fed, then eventually you want to kill it, right? But right in front of him, then right in front of the pig, then you just pretend you have so much love to the pig, and then by feeding it. So by putting food in front of by putting food on the floor, that's by giving food to the pig, and then you lead the pig to the slaughterhouse. So then you deceive the pig, with deceit and dissimulation, right?
That catching nimba the Kanda, Nachi Shiba de Nemo, Lotan de Cheswan, Bedilwa, catching nimba de Dakanda Nachi Shiba de Nemo in the one. That Nemo Tata Noswa, catching Shiba de Kanda, Singela of Pachala, Semba, Thing that Hassan Nanda go to the Chada Punigalapa, the Jirobachi, Hasanandachi. Nachi Shiba de Yujuk to the Singela Hassan, you want to change the Congo time. Hassan might be Yujuk to the Congo time. Shibatirwa. Oh, the thing name was one.
So second virtuous practice is the direct antidote to the fourth non-virtuous practice. The second virtuous practice is with a pure attitude, temporarily and ultimately help sentient beings, right? And this is a second virtuous practice. And the fourth non-virtuous practice that we talked about is to deceive others, as you pretend to have pure attitudes, but in fact your motivations or your intentions is influenced by deceit and dissimulations. Then you deceive sentient beings. So you can see it becomes the direct antidote to the non-virtuous practice, right?
That was a catchy somebody, Shansin and Timbin the Hitch, damaging Obaji, but as it would she mama, Tongatua, Shansin and Timbin the Hitch, damaging Obaji, I say, Diba.
Timbin
the Hitch, yeah, damaging Obaji, but Diba. That catchy somebody,
yeah. So then the third virtuous practice is, as what I summarized it just now, having perceived bodhisattvas as the teacher, proclaim truthful praises. Yeah, proclaim truthful praises.
That catchy somebody you the Karisana, you the Shansi Tanchi, yes, Shansi Tanji, you did it. That tell a Shawat Karisana, that temple and the Hitch, the dagger, damaging about show you like you, as it, about the show you like you. With this, that is about Jivas in the teaching Malajarwa.
Yeah. So the object of the third virtuous practice is all bodhisattvas, and the action is to generate the perceptions of them as resembling the teachers. So you perceive those bodhisattvas as the teacher, and to proclaim truthful praise about them in the four directions. So this is what I summarize into proclaim truthful praise.
다데 간다 가르기 님분 누구였나 같이 손바데 다 생전에 땜비리기 되는 생각바 제바스나 단데 나치 손바데 님분 다 나치 손바데 가스나 샹시라 해당 군인한테 문예바 제바들와 샹시라 해당 군인한테 문예바 제바 다 샹시라 해당 군인한테 다 문예바 제바 샹시라 해당 군인한테 배샤바이나 배 샹시라 해당 군인한테 배 꾸마쿠슬라와다 준시스라서와 되게 직서와
고맙구나.
고맙고하다 짐마고세 되게 문예 직서지야와 와 다들라 간다 네보다 되게 샹시라 되게 나치 숨바들와 다시 같이 숨바 따다 네보도가 같이 숨바 샹시나나 땜박은 디시지 되는 좀 와바지 되라 와바 때라도 와 대바지 봐 네보 따다 누구다들라
So this third virtuous practice is the direct antidote to the third non-virtuous practice. So three. So third virtuous practice is the direct antidote to the third non-virtuous practice. So what is the third non-virtuous practice? So it is out of hatred, speaking unpleasantly to bodhisattvas, right? For example, calling them liars, calling them like thieves, etc. So if you out of hatred were to speak unpleasantly to those bodhisattvas, then it becomes a third non-virtuous practice. So the third virtuous practice that we just covered, and is to proclaim a truthful praise. So is to praise them. So these become the antidote to the third non-virtuous practice.
다디 따다 가서 년보 제시와데 가서 년보 세와데 년보도 뭐도 소소고 줄라 뭐도 중디 대단다데 샹실라 엠빈 디히지제 되는 징아바지 년보 디소소라 베 상호들 레오데 대 샹실라 해당의 치문년보다 지구가 봐. 대 까두고 간다. 년보도 레오데 이 본자데 파 니바나고 싶다. 좋아. 야 라마 제서 되는시. 밑도 첨부지기 간다 밑도 첨부지기 뭐 간다 흉라고 밑도 주기다 흉세바이나 또 첨부지기 뭐 미춘주도 막 두스 만니 야 라마치야서 다시 다 님보서 두스 맞아 가대도 두스 서장 간다 좋아 다 상실의 땡빈 디시지네 되는 저데 다 상실의 해당이 시문에 받제받아 라시지 두스 막 네자 간다 가지 밑도 첨부지 밑도 중앙에 막야 흉세야 라마 투에서 하시
Yeah, so this is the antidote to a certain non-virtuous practice, right? So this is how one virtuous practice become the antidote to another non-virtuous practice. So when we generate, when the antidote is generated in our mind stream, then in particular, for example, this third non-virtuous practice. So when we generate this antidote in our mind stream, then one will not speak unpleasantly out of hatred to bodhisattvas, right? Because we generate antidotes in our mind, then it will serve as an antidote to suppress the non-virtuous practice, which is out of hatred speaking unpleasantly to bodhisattvas. So it's suppressed or causing it not to be able to arise. So it suppresses. This is how it becomes an antidote, or how it counteract the non-virtuous practice. So by suppressing it or by causing it not to be able to arise. So it is just like a person with with great strength, and then pressing a small strength one, a person with a smaller strength. So then pressing the smaller strength one on the floor and causing it not to be able to get up. So this is how the virtuous practice become the antidote to another non-virtuous practice.
Jimma ye pe so Jimma point semba de ngode jodi ta Jimma de ngode le tubo mare kada Jimma go mare ta kada wa Jimma de kada ngos le tubo mare kada nembo de ngode jodi ta panja de ngode joma tu papa ne no kada ta ji bodo shiba na shi mi to chembo ji to chwa ji ne ma na shi ngode joma tu so ta te panja kanga pa gindali ja ro Wanja kanda kanchi shawara nembo kangala nembo de lebuwa wo de nembo chansa du srinje yare
ngade kyu mi to ba ne ji
ngade kyu mo to ba nembo lebude nembo de ngade jude
so this is how we can understand in relation to antidote and to the objects of abandonment, and we can apply this understanding to other objects of abandonment as well, so which is causing it not to be able to manifest itself. So when antidote manifests, it will cause the objects of abandonment not to be able to manifest. So this is how antidote counteracts the objects of abandonment. So like, for example, if also when we develop or when we generate antidotes in our mind, or when we causing the antidote to manifest in our mind, then its object of abandonment will not be able to manifest. So, for example, the object of abandonment is telling lies. So, if you generate its antidotes or causing the antidote to manifest in your mind or in your mind stream, then its object of abandonment, which is telling lies, will not be able to manifest.
당한 간다 같이 somebody 간다 유대 상세 단지에 있다 네모도랑 주체니 샤원 템바든데 디시 제지 되는지 뭐바 쇼히는 제가 하시와 쇼히는 제가 되지 야 간다 네모도랑 주체이다 디원만 비시해요
Yeah, so the third virtuous practice is to generate the perceptions of them as resembling the teacher and to proclaim truthful praise about them in the four directions. And the object is bodhisattvas.
다디 월마 게시 샤라니 지 송도와 다 게시 샤라이 먼저 배 개완다와 주지시 반주셔서 춘추세를 먼저 개와 춘추다 이제 제바이나야 개완 패다며 봐마 세야도 마음도 무스라 야 마배 마스라 마한테 간다 상시다 한거 돌아 다 시당 긴하데 네주 두지다 다 간다 지졌다는 마초 이제 대원게 간다 양패마지 봐 예스로와 이제야 배하는 마스야 만도야 다 상세를 만지바니 ponto나 데니 ponto나 대간다 러디네 간사라 때문에 내주스 막 탕지 요구 말이에스 다 간사라 때문에 내반지고 가가 요구 말이에스 예수가 누구스 요거와 어디 리소자 대 상세 간다야 bakanda 희구 말이나 대대 간이나 요수 시바다 세지 탕지라 때문에 리시진에 다나 조인 치를 했다 도도도 돼
심지 탕지
신지 탕지라 수수그 때문에 리시진에 다나 조 답이 나와줘 나도 상세세어도 가와야 하고 말이지 넘버 상세세어도 넘버 디알페 미조보다 저도다 생제 간비는 가다 리뷰를 거 넘버 디니 디젤레이션 리뷰이나 다티 하고 말이지 수시바 나시 신제 탕제다 간다 땡빈 디시제바이나 다나 조 디체도 예세 간다 상세라 땡빈 디시제 로 미지 성다 체르스 모두와
So then Sharawa said, although we have created a little bit of something like virtue, so we have created something virtue-like, then yet there is no signs of its increase, and there are many signs of its exhaustions. The reason is virtue is exhausted through hatred, contempt, belittling, or causing harm towards bodhisattvas and our companions. Therefore, if we are able to eliminate contempting or harming our companions and bodhisattvas, we will no longer experience what is referred to in the compendium of trainings as harm based on persons. So since we do not know in whom bodhicitta is present, we do not know who is bodhisattvas, right? Because bodhisattvas, for the sake of taming the disciples, they can manifest in different form. It can be an animal, or it can be a person in a wretched state, etc. So in the word a poor person, for example. So we do not know who is bodhisattvas. And then what we should do is to train in pure appearance or pure appearances. So that means generate the pure perceptions of all sentient beings as the teacher as the teacher. So if we do so, then we will not causing harm or contempting, especially to the bodhisattvas and our companions.
Oh, did you? That kind of person, if you want to see the thing begin to hit you, the Tana joint check that they turn that to my deal.
And the purpose of generating the perceptions of all sentient beings as the teacher is to train so that we can train in the pure appearances.
That the old Makanda, some be chancy tangy, that turning over show you just indeed jabba the neighbor cups of Papala, indicated, show you the sonnet that Majiba and Neban do Marias at Tirwa, and the Captuji is Rwa.
Yeah, so the purpose of generating these perceptions is to train in the pure appearances. So if there is an audience and an opportunity to express their excellent qualities, do so. However, if you do not go to all four directions and proclaim them, this is not a fault. Yeah. So now I have already explained the third virtuous practice being the antidote to the third non-virtuous practice, right? Yeah. So the object of the fourth virtuous practice are the sentient beings who are ripened by you.
That tell a show in the sea, Teba, Mandeva, Zobi, changing in Jubas, that the sea Teba selling us in the Tiji Teba, and Jaji Teba, the third sound of Mahibas or Takandarua, the Sultan of Mahibas. In the sea Teba, Mandeva, Zobi, Chanchuda, Sanji Kupali and Jin Jubas in the world of Matos, and the Tiji Teba, the Ranjaji Teba Sanji, and Jin the Juba Mares.
And the action is to cause them to hold to complete enlightenment without wishing for a temporary vehicle. And temporary vehicle is the hearer's vehicle and solitary realizer's vehicle. So do not, without wishing just for the temporary vehicle such as hearer's vehicle and solitary realizer's vehicle, and then you cause them to hold to complete enlightenment.
Takanda Dujala Dilla Samba de Magina in a roa Rangin Kanda Dujatilla Susupe Dujati Rangin Tibachimorian changing the Jupachi Chebu. That Dujatilla Tindi and Julia de Samba de Majiba in a certain Manu Maris, Niji Maris, the dear Niji Maris will do Maris or Maris. That do when it's wrong. So, sure, Kanda Sanji Kupatuala Susupe Hasananda with the Kola Landicia. Yeah.
So from your side, you cause your disciple to make a connection with it to the complete enlightenment. And if that thought doesn't arise in the disciple, and it doesn't become a fault because you are unable to accomplish it. So even though with the pure intentions, then you cause your disciples to make a connections with the complete enlightenment. However, if that thought doesn't arise in the disciples, if the disciples doesn't enter the vehicle leading to the complete enlightenment, then it is not a fault because it's just that the disciple is untamable. So it's just like with the pure intentions or pure motivations, then we give advice or on the path leading to the state of enlightenment, or we give advice to others. So, however, if the persons do not listen to it or do not practice according to the advice, then it doesn't become a fault to oneself.
That Karigi Nibu was a Nachi Nibata. Nachi Niba, he gave a shepa, Jepachiba, he gave a ship and Jepachiba. Nachi Niba the Nimbo. That Kachi Shiba the Nachi Niba the Nimbo, Nachi Niba the cousin, he gave a shepa, Jepachiba. 我的一空的学有吧，但这个年不知道怎么我学六不多。
Yeah. So this fourth virtuous practice, which is causing sentient beings to be ripened by oneself to enter the complete enlightenment, right? And this is the fourth virtuous practice. And this fourth virtuous practice is the antidote to the second non-virtuous practice, which is causing others to regret a virtue.
到底到那个看到甚至现在的电话团体他都把上级去公布了哇，那个到我那今年不讲的，电话团体他都把上级去公布的，上级去公布的他把了你他把你这里呀很贵的，这里很贵的，这里老种钱的呀，那个这里去留的，这个高了，他可拿去你把这边有些把人接不接吧，你的话接不接的，他可以没得话，你接不上去接不接的，这等于早晚的那个这个买的时候了哇。 ko yim dewa gewa shepala jepa chiya ge tindigi lega da zawani ne chegu maris ko maji be gyunse ga ko be sanji ji kumpa thoya de chede ya chilu duwas sanji ji kumpa thoya je de chedo ya ni thapa ne sanji ji kumpa de ya ngiya ge be corona be ta chede na la ja je na kantu kitu ji de chilu de ta ko ge sanji ji kumpa thoya chino lo je jeram jigu mu de sen jepa chiya ge de zawani je ya ko yumarwa ta da lugu da de wa.
Yeah. So by means of this virtuous practice, you abandon the second non-virtuous practice. For if you wish from the depths of your heart to establish others in the ultimate of all types of happiness, so ultimate happiness is the state of enlightenment, and you wouldn't do something to cause them to regret a virtue. So this is very obvious, right? Because if you from your side with a pure intentions, you give teachings to a person, and then you show the person's the correct path that leads to the state of enlightenment. So if you do so, then you will not cause others to regret a virtue, right? So you can see how it becomes an antidote to another, right? So if you were to cause others to regret a virtue, for example, or you shouldn't study Dharma is inappropriate. So if you have a pure motivation to guide others to the state of enlightenment, you will not cause others to regret a virtue such as studying Dharma.
Lang sanji kumpa thoya langti jeudi da kogi chanju se kumpa tomba ni go na da te go da de mudu ko sanji kumpa thoya tashi de mudu se da di lo sig maro ko pena di lo sig maro di lo ma si ya juse kasna kogi pe la je de sanji kumpa thoya la be che sho se lo di da sanji kumpa thoya la be che ge ta yo do me de chanju se la tomba ni de wa ma o da de be che ge da chano te be che de de mudu te no sha ne ko Yes, so so sigma is and that
Yeah, so to give you an example, if you from your side you wish others wish the students to achieve the state of enlightenment, and then you guide the students by giving the advice that you should you should put effort in achieving the state of enlightenment. Then when they engage in practices which is meditating on emptiness and cultivating bodhicitta, then you will not. It is impossible for you to say that, this is not the right way to achieve the state of enlightenment, right method to achieve the state of enlightenment. You will not say this to the students, right? Because the indispensable method to achieve the state of enlightenment is meditating on emptiness and cultivating bodhicittas, right?
That is conda singi shibole da changju ji se se wada ngazo perwa da do bi changju sanji ji kumpa thoala da anda yodo mele changju se de to be oni to dishera da de singi kanda do changju se da dini ya ma da ji go wa da changju se de be jewa kundo be kanda malam de ya kanda se de kanda mando wa
jewa kundo
do jewa kundo da su to be jewa kundo de ni be da so sango ji go re changju se de na ya mando wa 디나니 지기사 수수기 안다 여바이나 수수기 무도사 수수기 단자는 땡보지 장주기 세 줄을 맞제바이는 가디 제바이는 디나야 무도사지 세 무도사지 로와 어떤 든지 상로지 구구리 상로지 체고리 해서 로와 대간다 수수만 야바이나 가와 지와 간디지나 간다 장주기 세를 버지다 마다와지 이원 쇼사 수수기 다 간다 세난 든지 구구리 해서 로와 어떤 든지 여바이나 대 장주 세드페 수수기 중앙 정책 가와니 바이나 든지 장주 세드페 냐리 제투야지 이원 쇼사 다 상로지 체고리 해서 간다 장주 세 마다와
Yeah. So, in order to achieve the complete enlightenment, then also wisdom realizing emptiness must be conjoined with bodhicitta. So, when we make a prayers, then we should develop such determinations that I will not at all. Yeah, I will not at all abandon or discard my bodhicitta throughout my lives. So I will not at all discard my bodhicitta throughout my lives. So, and we should even make such aspiration prayers as well that may I not be separated from bodhicitta in all my lives. So we should develop such determinations, and then we should also develop such aspirations as well.
다당 간다 된다도 도시나 장주기 세 렌디치를 다 간다 셰조 비상지지 고바 수수 베기나 페세 장주기 생지 시부터는 예 로비 장주지 고발이야 생지 드리야 뇌라 베드리기 하산난다부터는 세지 진 이제 제우디 그래서 장주기 생지 배어되어 됐어서 배 간다 마냐와 이나한다 간다 제와 간리지나 다 간다 생 배어지 레그리에서 배어진 중으로에서 배어지 지금 말해서 나 드리지라 파 장부와 로와 제와 간리지나 배 수수배 신게 신지 해배 조배 상지 공부 토야리아 인디지 이거네 장주기 신심부터 들린 게 어디 내가 아니때 간다 밀람다 진지나 마냐와이나 지와 간디지나 근데 분치 간디지도 보이나 그 장주 세대 만도와 근데 비율 리브리 해서
동등 정치세대 가리
그치다 가와니 버렸어 니 가와이나 니 가와이나
Yeah. So so may I never be separated. Yeah, may I never be separated from bodhicitta throughout all my lives, so that I can guide or place all sentient beings in the state of enlightenment throughout all my lives. So, and if we able to develop, we should also contemplate the benefits of generating bodhicittas as well. So, such as we accumulate merits and achieve benefits if we have developed bodhicitta, then even when we sleep, then we also receive the benefits, and we also generate merits as well, and uninterruptedly. So we should make such a prayer that may I never be separated from bodhicitta at any time, anywhere.
신야 앞에 잠바지 신기서 들라 가져서 다 소포나 지리군도와 어딘도 시련다고 도 시련다
신기에 있나? 잠바
두두두 잠바지 신기래 딱 가져서 본 봤어요. 딱 가져다 차도 지시고도 어디 간다 놀이도 수준도와 간다 가져 좀 받아 차도다 세나 번 받아 다 인조 번도나 이거와 시다 리더 덴바이나 멜라몬도와 잠베지 신을 신기게 놀이 도 수준도 오세 에들로군도와 장주 세문도와 와 장주 세문도와는 간다 들에 다 가져 좀 받아 차도다 세나 번 받아 인조 번도나 이거와 이 리더 덴바이나 그 장주지 간다 세라서 문도와 장주 세문도와 주리에서 한다로와 장주 세문도 주
So in array of qualities in Manjushri's Buddha field teaches that the aspiration is not abandoned, and this aspiration refer to bodhicitta. So bodhicitta is not abandoned if one possesses 4 qualities: having abandoned pride, having abandoned jealousy, having abandoned miserliness, and being mentally joyful when seeing others' wealth. So in other words, these 4 qualities abandoning pride, abandoning jealousy, miserliness, and being mentally joyful and see others' wealth are the causes for one not to abandon the bodhicitta. So these are the causes for one not to abandon bodhicitta.
那滚出资本多嘞，都是些松江很多啊。那叫让堂姐的刚才强举去生中王的，给我这些情况的都刚才强举去生的东啊西巴人呢。那叫我堂姐的，叫我现在呀，那谁都没去到门道啊。那等这个给大的白能力起来，等这个把有的也是，不是那么多啊，是吧？滚出资本多嘞，叫让堂姐的强举去生中王的，给我这些情况的都强举生东啊西巴人呢。那叫我现在呀，强举生了没去到他们马来是门道啊，是吧？都知道看到。
And also in the clouds of jewels of sutra clearly teaches that if you train in bodhicitta in all behaviors and generate bodhicitta before starting any virtuous activity, you will not be separated from this precious mind. So precious mind is bodhicitta in other lives as well. So if you practice so, generate bodhicitta before and train in bodhicitta in all behaviors, then you will always find the opportunity to practice bodhicitta.
他但是古董啊，这西本那是等到哪边缺席的，隔壁缺席是的敌人多吧，是吧？但哪边缺席的，隔壁缺席的，的两里奇怪，等到的问题。嘛说古董嘛，长久生就छो比头，他长久生浪，是吧？长久生浪，这里毛不接是吧？他长久生的浪的，长久生的，他头发没样吧？长久生的浪才的，他头发没样吧？就来露骨了，头发没样就露骨了吧？他头发没样就来露的，他讲的。就要很多长久生的门道啊，就来老下的，他哪边缺就我的隔壁缺那是
就要先读，
我就要很多，他就要很多，他俺是大部工作，他长久生的处理多了，俺是长久生浪才的哇，他长久生的浪才结了，他长久生的刚才拖车的，那头发没娘把送我的哇，他头发没娘把送来的了，称的了，刚才生气没娘就了老大鸡蛋，他就要很多，刚才就了，没着啊，老大你。真的，我生气的么样就了来鸡蛋，就我很多，生气的么的就了老大你，是吧？
生气了，你的生气米养饱，你的生气了，你的生气米着啊，
我没着啊，没着啊，的就了老大你，那的好搞吧，媳妇，当然是叫我很多，就了没着啊，老下的哪边去是帮忙的，隔壁去就了老不的，他叫我被很多被长久生没着啊。的确老做，就我很多，他就我很多，他长久生的马着啊，的确多，那边去就帮我的，他隔壁去就娘是那么的，做的嘞，是吧？那边去就做娘是那么，隔壁去就做娘是那么的，叫我很多被叫我家常忙不动他忙不了，他看他长久生的马着啊，的确，我的嘞做起，他的心吧就说。
Yeah. So we have already covered 4 non-virtuous practices and 4 virtuous practices, and the meaning here is at first then we talk about adopt bodhicitta through ritual, and then having adopted bodhicitta, so we have already adopted, right? We have already obtained obtain the bodhicitta through ritual, then we have to guard it so that it will not degenerate, right? So then there are 2 ways to practice. So there are 2 ways to practice. One is to cause it not to degenerate, cause the bodhicitta not to degenerate in this life, and another one is cause it not to be separated. Cause oneself not to be separated from bodhicitta in others' lives. So there are 2 ways of practice. One is to cause one's bodhicitta not to degenerate in this life, and another one is to cause oneself not to be separated from bodhicitta in others' lives. And in order to cause oneself not to be separated from bodhicitta in others' lives, what we should do is 4 practices, which is what we should adopt. and we have to abandon the 4 non-virtuous practices. So if we practice abandoning 4 non-virtuous practices and adopting 4 virtuous practices, then we will not be separated from bodhicitta even in 100 lives to come.
大家看到计划行的呗，哪必去就或者隔壁去就都是两人结拜呢？计划行的呗，强就生这了，倒把可能要忙的事，倒把要忙的事，强就生的这忙的事，那看到是吧？
Yeah, so we will not have any doubt if we practice abandoning 4 non-virtuous practices and adopting 4 virtuous practices, we will not be separated. No doubt, we will not be separated from bodhicitta.
当我做成这个生意，就了没样子就了来的，那可是继续的功力学才的吧？成这个，那等到哪边去的，隔壁去的，计划行的，强就生了，没在一起的，那个的话，那成这个生意了，没样就了老师的吧？那成这生意没样就了老师，他可是学的学才来的，对了，就生这个需要的，学，是吧？成这生意没样就来的了，那当不生意了要周迅培训的，培养这么了吧？ 生计的那边，培养出了相当大的，强就生了，培养出相当大的，这强就生了看到，老把老师说的，先把那高的多学的那个有的话，给两年钱了，我当不地起的，生的生计能量就来老当记，
老出记了，
我老是记点的，
And then we have already covered, the way to practice so that our bodhicitta will not degenerate in this life. And the first way to practice is contemplating the benefits of bodhicitta. So by contemplating the benefits of bodhicitta, we will be very happy to train in the precepts of bodhicitta, right?
但就是你等到你把这个去，他生计呀，因为培去多，他连住的看他生计，像你生养现是连的话，连住的结巴，连住的结巴那不提，连住的结巴那不，我说你那是真的是给这心有。 那我生计也没配去了，也配公平主义去的话，公平主义他连住的养生养的连是吧？那就是基本那问题。
And the second way to practice it, or the second practice is, in order to cause bodhicitta to increase further, then we train in generating bodhicitta in 6 times.
他等到你把这个的生计看这个切的那个生计早那个乱么动啊，他生计得了看的，很多结构是现在就过了哇，我生计看这个切的那边，就觉得生计就觉得看这个那个乱么动啊，生计就么动啊，你生计这个切的呗，给中央的结构啥现在的情况哇，我等你情况呢，这个呀，长久现在那边公平对啊，是不是？
松巴的嘞，
哦，等你什么的，你上午就过来松巴的啊，对，甚至看这几天都有那边，就觉得看这几天都有那边，你甚至的越早你毛动啊，第一期的平时如果啥，等你生不起过个意思吧。
And the third practice is for all sentient beings, for all sentient beings, and then I will not mentally abandoning them. I will not at all. Yeah, I will never mentally abandon any sentient being, and I always benefit them. And this is the third practice in order to cause bodhicitta not to degenerate in this life.
但西边的看到，我说，他长久生呀，培养起的，他虽然就做啥吧，一起就做啥吧，老不对的。他虽然就做啥吧，我虽然就做啥吧，是吧？但我说，他看到，查到过啊，写把他，别看到，看到比如老师吧，写吧，他就说看到虽然就做了路有了，长久就是，原来就想把他年纪功夫，就是他妈的看到虽然就做了路有了哇，他一起就做啥的，我说东北就听了什么大的，是吧？东北就听吃过呀。 我在说的呀，你是公司在上班的年纪，说了样子，上工的两年级，东年都被写了的了，东北就听到了样的呗，是说给两年级的，长久设的呀，公平的呀，还讲给老全部都的用是吧？我的也是他测的，生意不就老当的，是吧？
And the fourth way to practice, or fourth practice, is in order to cause bodhicitta to increase more and more, then we accumulate merit. So merit of merit and merit of wisdom. So merit of merit can be is accumulated through like doing prostrations, reciting prayers, and cultivating loving kindness, compassion, and bodhicitta. And we also need to accumulate merit of wisdom as well through meditating on the meaning of emptiness.
我到这里我说讲这个事情，他就会练出来我说他马上也要培养的，他培养起来讲到现在了呀，升级公平，马上被公平东西起来，他计划性的对他们这一句老当去，他老当听你的，他我去把就那也不是吧，我对的，他讲的，就写不来的。他我说知道哪边去的，隔壁去那个哪边去就帮他隔壁去杨树那的，我说没事给那些的，是吧？知道没事给那些有都没得是吧？是吧？没事给那些没事练菜洗的那点，他讲的老我是吧？
他去洗的，去洗。
哦，哪边去就帮他隔壁去杨树那的是吧
？Yeah, so having adopted bodhicitta through ritual, then we have to cause the bodhicitta that we have obtained not to degenerate, right? So then there are two ways to practice. One is in relation to these lives. So we practice so that bodhicitta do not degenerate, and then we also practice so that our bodhicitta, we will not be at all separated from bodhicitta in others' lives as well. So we have to understand one is understand these two points. So in general, when we talk about four virtuous practices and abandoning four non-virtuous practices, they are the precepts of aspiring bodhicitta.
Yeah, that is the question, right?
So I'll stop here. If you have any question, you can ask now.
Hello. Can hear me?
Yes, can hear you.
I have a question. Okay, I just want to know truthful praise about them in the four directions.
I cannot hear you.
No.
I think we distant.
We can hear PE quite clearly. Yeah. Can you hear me? Like last time again.
Can hear?
Yes. Yes, can hear. Can hear.
Can hear. Okay. The question is, maybe Geshe-la can explain what is the meaning of the four directions? Claim truthful praise about them in the four directions. What is the four directions?
Cái cả vài này chua chỉ là phải xa họ nuôi sang rồi phải tiền đi rồi, đi xa họ nuôi sang chua chỉ là phải ngao bát dễ đấy. Ta cái sao là phải ngao bát dễ đấy cả đó.
Can't hear you, Ken. Okay, now can hear.
Yeah, can hear now?
Yeah, can hear now.
Yeah.
Start from the beginning. Start from the beginning.
So the four directions is literally the four directions. Basically, you go to east, south, northwest to proclaim to proclaim praises about those bodhisattvas. So basically, you go everywhere and proclaim praises about them. This is the meaning of four directions. Yeah. So in the text, it also says that even if you do not do so, proclaiming truthful praises in the 4 directions, it will not become a fault.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Gesila. May I ask a question?
Yes.
Okay. Just now there's a virtue action is talking about ripening others' sentient being to enlightenment. But then there's also saying that one should not give teachings to others unless someone is a suitable verses or unless someone is requesting. So how do we begin or try to do these virtue actions? Thank you.
Rangi mimba chawi semjen la any di kaza di labje chia da ora lam tuen tuen di roi any di yang kicha ji yo ra any ngang zo kaza nu ma imba la any di kaza chu share yo ma resa any yang di be chu di ma shu ai na any yang di chu share yo ma res any di ngang zo ka chu shi ba de kan di nyam ne chi bo yo ras
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah. Die taba de karseosa rang mimba shay sinches na susu gu ju mimba shay gi sinche lo susu gu chete dija ne de ruwa lo rang ju mimba shay sinches na rang ne de ruwa dija chi yesra ba de o de rang pa chete de ne de ruwa dija de ta zojan dia do be sanji chi kumba thoya ya go ba de yan ju de chi ba chi de lo wa de da ma chang la de ma zo nga be za do na都你对的么咯啦 네 뭐라 동반지 대신에 자동 제거세 요로와
시 초기요나
시 조야 말아서 네도 모르고
맞다 딩가기 자동이 거라 시 초기요나
다 개문도 지나서 추지들이 늘 저거지도 와
아소
네 장기 민바샤 장기 주 민바샤 신지 되는 거래 장기 그 민바샤 네도 신지 되는 거래 네 장기 민바샤 신지 와 되래 그래서 로거 창선 로고야 말
아소
어디 저런 거 좋아 다다다디 자만 차서 와
딩가기 자동 라인지 디와요
네 디와요 그래서 간다 네 뭐 자들아 네도 좋아라 무릉와라 동반지 대대나 자동 제스 요로와 저런 거 원래는 답에 취 자원이네 네 캠에 취시나 앞에 선출법 지내지 봐이나 다 시대고 뭐라 보시는 거 파 취시나 선출법 지내지나 취시 병 뭐라 그래서 어디들이 안다데 랑 미바샤이 신지는 주 미바샤이 신지는 맞지
차위에서
랑 미바샤 랑에서 수고를 했어 랑이 된지 신지들 주 미바샤이 그들 와서 되죠 저런 거 다들 잠만 잤어
Yeah, so it's a very good questions, and yeah, to how say to remove your doubts, and then so back to the virtuous practice. Sentient beings, sentient beings whose continuum is to be ripened by you. Sentient beings to be ripened by you, or sentient being whose continuum to be ripened or matured by you. So the word sentient beings to be ripened by you, so itself it indicates that the sentient beings who are the suitable vessel. So indicates that to sentient beings, to disciples who are the suitable vessel, then you cause them to enter the complete, the complete enlightenment. Yeah. So and regarding this, then this relates to the root downfalls, the root downfalls of tantra vows. So yeah, it relates to that. So you shouldn't reveal the meaning of, you shouldn't reveal the meanings of emptiness to an unsuitable vessel. So if you were to do so, then you will break your root vows. So it's related to that. So like, for example, if you were to give Dharma teachings to others, if that person is not a suitable vessel, then instead of showing gratitude and the person hit you and fight with you, then you is not the right person to give Dharma teachings, right? Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, can hear us?
Yes, can hear. Can hear.
That's all. Yeah, so probably something wrong. Yeah, so and we will stop here, and then later tonight we have how's it teachings, right? Rinpoche's teaching. Hello, hello. Can hear. Sally,
Kokido. Can you hear me? Ken? Can you hear me, Ken?
Yeah.
You can't. Nobody can hear me.
Can hear you, Sally.
Okay. I was getting worried there. Yes, we can hear you, Ken, but you may not hear us.
Thank you. Okay, stop here. Thank you. Ang aso mo ate, dari gisa wandela tini chitemba jibana doa dewa. Ta konsa jangu jambo chogu zubi tenzi chinje tamba sasho kama sujuma temba dan doyi tini kutse hindi tini zebar le shoku ne jibada. Nanjana na kadi lhabat chef kajila masabaru boyi cho temba dan doyi tini kutse hindi tini zebar le shoku ne jibada. Ta mandan zani tila pa manchu da mijela sabo mayu ata. Njuwa shi neba la sabo pa doya ke. Te kanda ngwa chiya nani pa shi deyo chi ngwa chiya nis.
So we yeah, so
Can't hear you, Ken.
Ken, I think Jabra is not working because it cannot get your voice. Only I think now you are using the laptop sound.
Yeah, because we are not connecting to Jabra, so now it's using Jabra laptop mic. So the laptop itself, so probably.
Yeah, so you may need to sit like this.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So we conclude these sessions. Yeah, we conclude these sessions with dedication. We dedicate the roots of virtue accumulated, especially through these Lama discussions, and we dedicate these roots of virtue for the origins of the Dharma and for the excellent happiness of sentient beings. We also dedicate these roots of virtue to all our holders of the teachings to prevent the practice of this Dharma. Okay, so let's live beyond strong, excellent power, and his holiness, and peace and holiness can inspire all the actions. In particular, we should of virtue to our beloved teacher, which is live beyond strong, excellent power, and peace and holiness can continuously and spread all the actions. And also dedicate this roots of virtue to the world peace and excellent happiness to the whole world, and may the world be free from managing disaster, disaster, wars, and conflict. And we also dedicate these roots of virtue to sentient beings, especially sentient beings who pass away, who are in the state of suffering, and those who help others means their sufferings being as high in the day, which is the last.
Dagi Jenya Sabi Kiwa and the Dando, Kampe, Chiva, Jesus, Osaka, Nimbo, Seji, Jo, Chanjos, Moja, Mashi, Pada, Jiju, Chivan, Unia, Konda, Peva, Shu, Jabe, Chita, Chimpa, Kundozam, Teda Kunji, you under the Sanjera, Tonia Tower, 别把解决的解把两把过年公道别话说人民到人马些把那解决的解把两把过年公道别话说投资家庭家会家有点自交会也公司都把这抽中国也人们到时候这些电脑下的有当年年节生动啊，确切上去，这真的是相当我顶着说话那时候现在连着小安吉的看见这嘛的，可能这个上面各地都没顶着讲说了，说话那时候中间连着我也是蛮看到的，你这个时候顶着讲说小比心里话都顶着。Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Geshe-la.
Thank you, Geshe-la.
Thank you,
Thank you, Geshe-la.